Welcome to the Monster Hunter Ecology Report for Rathian, the Queen of the Land. Rathian, the female counterpart to Rathalos, is much more maternal in nature. She has the capability to inhabit every environment that Rathalos can inhabit, but she prefers ecosystems that allow her to raise her children in relative peace. Because of this, Rathian can be found in jungles, deserts, and forest biomes. Within the New World specifically, she can be found in both the Ancient Forest and the Wildspire Waste. These two locations have reasonably weak monsters and moderate temperatures in certain locations, making the act of raising new members of the Rath family easier. In the Ancient Forest, Rathian can be seen practically anywhere. However, in the Wildspire Wastes, Rathian is usually found lingering in areas 1, 2, and 3. This is for two reasons. These areas are close to fish and small herbivores that Rathian can hunt and take back to her nest. The other reason concerns a species of wyvern known as Diablos. Diablos is one of few wyverns in the New World that pose an actual threat to Rathian, and as such, it is only normal that Rathian reside in the few locations within the Wildspire Waste that Diablos does not normally inhabit. Rathian is a medium-sized wyvern, similar in physiology to Rathalos, but with a few glaring differences. One such difference is her color, being a dull green instead of the Rathalos' bright red. She also has a long protruding chin spike and moss-like fur on her wings instead of wing spikes. Her tail lacks the bony spikes that Rathalos has, but instead has thorns spouting out from the end of it, almost like a spiky paintbrush. Her wings also have small circular markings on them, different from Rathalos' ornate patterns. While she is known as the Queen of the Land, this is not because Rathian is unable to fly. Rather, it simply refers to her preference when it comes to combat behavior. Rathian is more than capable of flying, and while not on the same level as Rathalos, will use her flight capabilities in conjunction with her land-based combat to scare off dangerous monsters. Rathian, similar to Rathalos, also has several flame sacs within her body. These flame sacs are so dangerous that they can actually explode if they come into contact with any form of oxygen. These organs allow Rathian to produce a dangerous flame, much more potent than the flame that Rathalos can produce. Alongside her flame sacs are also the standard poison sacs that are found in many members of the Rath family. However, unlike Rathalos, Rathian's poison sac is located inside her tail, since it is more of a defensive option rather than an offensive option. Rathian prefers land-based combat and has adapted to suit such a fighting style. One such adaptation is her potent ability to use fireballs. Rathian is capable of releasing multiple blasts once, and can even charge up her blast for more damage. These fireballs are so potent that they can actually end up igniting the ground upon impact, leaving a patch of fire that can inflict fire blight. As mentioned before, Rathian has a poison sac within her tail. However, this is unique only to the New World species of Rathian. There are three confirmed subspecies of Rathian: the Old World, Valhabar, and New World species. The Old World and Valhabar species have poison sacs, but they are located at the base of the tail rather than inside the actual tail club. This means that oftentimes, when a Rathian's tail from the Old World or Valhabar species is cut off, the poison lingers, allowing Rathian to still be capable of poisoning her target. However, in the New World, severing Rathian's tail will disable her poison attack completely. We're not completely sure why Rathian developed a poison sac within her tail rather than at the base of her tail, but what we do know is that the function is still the same. All three species of Rathian still use their tail in conjunction with their flight capabilities to perform a backflip of sorts that allows them to administer poison and knock back prey. A rare few Rathians in the Old World have developed larger poison spikes on their backs, wings, and tails. Alongside these veteran Rathians are deviant species of Rathian, known to have so many poison-producing organs that their scales actually have a light purple hue to them, due to how much poison is seeping out. There are also two genetic mutations of Rathian, the pink Rathian and the gold Rathian. Rathians are territorial, similar to Rathalos. However, they patrol the land rather than take to the skies, hence the nickname Queens of the Land. Rathian will become aggressive towards potential threats, but this is not due to a need to establish dominance. Most, if not all, of Rathian's behavior can be attributed to how much she cares about the safety of her nest and hatchlings. Because of this, Rathian has adopted a rather safe combat style that allows her to deter targets while draining their stamina. Unlike her male counterpart, Rathian excels at land-based combat. When confronting smaller prey, Rathian will often run over her enemy using her massive body mass and leg muscle to her advantage. If this doesn't work, Rathian will resort to using her two most dangerous weapons, her poison and her fire. She will first attempt to barrage the enemy with fireballs, usually firing off 2 to 4 fireballs when angered. Her most notorious attack is her poisonous backflip, which uses both her wings and tail. This attack accomplishes two things. It poisons and knocks away the enemy. The poison is just as potent as the poison found within Rathalos' claws, and combined with the immense force of her tail, this attack can lead to death, and will often deter stronger monsters. Rathian has nearly the same diet as Rathalos, primarily feeding on herbivores like the Aptonoth and Kelby, bird wyverns like Velociprey and Jaggy, and even fish. They have a mindset that can be compared to Rathalos, in that they hunt things that are small, don't pose much of a threat, and can be carried using their talons. Unlike Rathalos, Rathian does not carry off her prey to eat in seclusion and peace. Instead, she carries her prey off to her nest, usually ripping off small bits of said prey to feed to her small hatchlings. Rathian, just like Rathalos, has several tough enemies, despite not being an apex predator. These enemies include notoriously dangerous wyverns, such as Tigrex, Zinogre, Seregios, and even Gormagala. Interestingly enough, hunters and monsters alike seem to think that Rathian poses less of a threat than Rathalos. This belief seems to stem from the difference in flight capability when comparing Rathalos and Rathian. A good example of such a belief can be found in the Anjanath, which resides within the ancient forest. Oftentimes, Anjanath will avoid Rathalos, because it fears Rathalos' flight capabilities, but when faced with a Rathian, Anjanath is less inclined to avoid her, simply because she prefers land-based combat. We now go to our field ecologist, Sarlia, who will go over a few hunters' tips, as well as interesting facts regarding Rathian.
While Rathian does not stay in the air as long as Rathalos does, it is still possible to make her fall from the sky. Like Rathalos, Rathian has keen eyesight, so when hunting her, bring along some flash pods. Fire one into the air as she does her backflip, and watch her fall to the ground, completely stunned. Rathian, similar to Rathalos, has a very potent poison that will do massive amounts of damage to you, if left untreated. Be sure to avoid Rathian's tail, especially during her backflip attack. This is Rathian's most common way of applying her poison. If you do end up poisoned, be sure to bring along an antidote or two. In the New World, Rathian have poison sacs located at the end of their tail, rather than at the base of the tail. This means that if you can manage to remove a Rathian's tail, you can disable her poison. Removing her tail has other benefits as well, such as reducing the range of her backflip attack. Another note is that unlike Rathalos, damaging Rathian's wings don't seem to affect her. Besides her tail and wings, Rathian also has a breakable head, as well as a breakable back. Rathian are very protective of their young. If you're having trouble locating one, try checking their nest. In the Ancient Forest, this will be in Area 16 near the Ancient Forest Camp. In the Wildspire Wastes, this will be in Area 12, near the Eastern Camp. Pick up an egg and walk around with it for a bit. We have confirmed on several unpleasant occasions that this will immediately attract a Rathian to your location. Rathian is similar to Rathalos in many ways. One such way is that Rathian also have two confirmed genetic mutations, the pink Rathian and the gold Rathian. Both are very similar to Rathian in several different ways, but the most noticeable trait about both of them is their extremely strong shell. Pink Rathian has a heavily armoured body, and gold Rathian has a shell so strong that most weapons bounce right off. These two mutations will be featured in a future video, so be on the lookout. As mentioned before, Rathian have a deviant species known as the Dread Queen Rathian. This species of Rathian overflow with poison due to the environment they were raised in. They have different attacks compared to a regular Rathian, such as the ability to scatter poisonous thorns onto the ground that secrete poison, creating a poisonous puddle of sorts. If this wasn't deadly enough, Dread Queen Rathian actually have poison so potent that it needs to be classed into 3 different types of poison: regular poison, noxious poison, and deadly poison. Just like with Pink and Gold Rathian, we'll delve more into Dread Queen Rathian in a future episode. Rathian and Rathalos actually hunt as a couple, especially during mating season. They will hunt small prey that they can easily take back to the nest, and their roles are protector and hunter in such a situation. Rathian will often go out and hunt for food to bring back to her young hatchlings, while Rathalos secures the area from above, ensuring that Rathian's hunting grounds are free from dangerous wyverns.
This concludes our Monster Hunter Ecology report for Rathian. We hope you learned something today about this maternal wyvern, and hopefully our hunter's tips can help you from meeting the wrong end of the Rathian tale. This has been Professor Spark
and field ecologist Sarlia
with the Monster Hunter Ecology report for the Queen of the Land, Rathian.